きねチャンネルへようこそ。こんにちは。今日はフォトグラファーのベンジャミン・リーさんのお家へ来てます。なんと撮影初めてということです。で、この前撮影をした奥様の和太鼓アーティストのエヴァ・ケストナーさんもご一緒です。主にですね、ベンジャミンさん英語なのでエヴァさんが翻訳をしてくださいます。よろしくお願いします。
よろしくお願いします。
まずはじめはですね、いろんなベンジャミンさんは写真を撮っていらっしゃるんですが、かなり有名な方の写真をですね、例えば草間彌生さんとか村上春樹さんとか、撮っていらっしゃるので、そんな方たちとですね、撮影秘話とかですね、どんな方たちなのかみたいなことと、非常に創造性の高い方たちなので、そういった方たちの、創造性とか精神状態とかについて、お話しできたらなと思いますし、なんかお写真見せてくださるんですよね、ということです。はい、ではお願いします。
よろしくお願いします。
Each one, it depends on the situation of what they do. I try to photograph them within their creative environment, whether it's the artist in the studio or the architect in his office. So I try to include something which shows what they actually do. I mean, you could call it like an environmental portrait, because basically where these people work is a reflection of their profession and of what they do. And so we always try to photograph them, if possible, in their working environment.
個別の方の話を聞いてもいいですかね。
I was first commissioned to photograph her in 2011 when she was doing her first project with Louis Vuitton in New York City. So at the same time as the big opening at the Louis Vuitton store in Fifth Avenue, later the next day they also had the opening of her show at the Whitney Museum. So Louis Vuitton basically that year sponsored 4 of her exhibitions in the world. The Sophia Arena in Madrid, the Pompidou Center in Paris, the Tate Gallery in London, and the Whitney in New York City. And but that was the beginning of it, and I got a wonderful photograph of her myself taken by her manager, Takakura-san, which he did in the Louis Vuitton store in Soho. And at that time, she also gave me a special book that was published about her by Louis Vuitton, like with an edition of only 1,000. And it was not really for sale. It was like just given out to, certain people. And luckily, at that time, Kusama, she gave me one of the books and she signed it, and it's a very wonderful memory.
それが一番出会い。
出会いです。
It's first
いや、
time.
それがそう初めての出会い。
草間さんはもう世界的なアーティストですけれども、どんな方ですか？
Well, basically, I'm sure she was very nervous because of all the people around. But I think like her mind is like a kaleidoscope of ideas and feelings, maybe sometimes at the same time. I think it's probably quite complex. And she's probably better expressing it as an artist in her paintings than she does in writing. But actually her autobiography, Infinity Nets, which is named after some of the first paintings she did in New York. The autobiography, Infinity Nets, is very well written by her and translated into English. And I've read it like 2 times, and it's a very good description of how she thought and how she began and her voyage through the different stages in her life. This is a one of the dolls was made by the model maker in New York City, who made 500 of these for the different stores in around the world: Paris, London, New York, Madrid. And quite luckily, I was able to exchange my photograph of him for this memento. They only made 500 of these, limited edition.
I said.
But the model maker, he came over to Japan and he put a kind of like a coating onto Kusama's face to make it like a mold, make a mold of her face. So the life-size models, they actually really look like her. Some of the people I've spoken to even mistaken them for Kusama.
すごい貴重ですね。ベンジャミンさんはそういったこういった草間彌生さんの写真を撮るときに、どんなことを考えたり気をつけたりしてますか？
This picture was taken by her manager, so this was just in the store with her. But when I photograph her at the studio, I try to include like one of her paintings in the background. And then in a couple of other pictures, I focused in on her face and the palm of her hand. So so one time we actually, we had a palm reader, professional palm reader, come to the exhibition I was having, and she gave us a rundown of the, what she thought, like, the lines of her hand expressed. And so I think, I photographed her, I think, 4 or 5 times in her studio in Tokyo. And each time she was wearing something different, and we always got a little something different, some angle different from the situation. So it was very interesting.
本当有名な作品です
そ
よね。
うです。
Yeah, there you can see the palm of her hand,
Yeah.
which the professional palm reader read. So I think that was quite a good position to photograph her in. I mean, it's a little bit different. It's not only her face, but it's the character of her hand. It looks very big there, but she's her hand is not,
手にはね、その人の人生、仕事がありますもんね。
Yeah, there was a little different way to express her character rather than only her face. And then there's I took another picture which was a close-up of her fashion, but with her hand holding one of her brushes. For instance, here's the other picture where you see the background as her fashion, and then her hand holding a paintbrush. In the background you can see a kaikejiku of her holding her palm.
一回アップにします。
So here's a picture of her with the holding the paintbrush, and a close-up of the palm of her hands.
さっきも話したんですけど、草間さん会いたいんですよ。
あ、はい。